My beloved child, lift up your eyes and look upon the field of your soul. For what you thought was barren land is now quietly stirring beneath my hand. There were seasons when you saw only dry dust, heard only the wind passing through empty spaces, and felt only a long silence, as though heaven had closed itself. But I say to you that no season of your life is wasted when it is placed in my hands. The nights when you prayed with broken breaths, the tears you quickly wiped away because you did not want anyone to see, the times you still chose to believe even when your heart trembled like a leaf in a storm, all of these have fallen like holy seeds upon the soil I am preparing. Those who sow in tears shall reap with songs of joy. Psalm 126:5. Do you see? Your tears are not the final mark of sorrow in my hands. They become the water that nourishes what I have promised to rise. I know you have asked within your heart whether those years of endurance meant anything, whether your quiet faithfulness has been remembered, whether the times you forgave while the wound still burned have vanished into nothingness. My child, I am not a God who forgets your love. I saw you sow when there was no applause. I saw you keep your heart upright when others did not understand. I saw you keep walking even when you could see only enough light for one small step before you. My word says, God is not unjust. He will not forget your work and the love you have shown. Hebrews 6:10. Therefore, do not think that what is hidden is without value. It is in the hidden place that many of the most precious seeds are buried. It is in silence that the roots of faith often grow deepest. But my child, the harvest does not come like the noise of the marketplace. It does not always appear with display. It does not necessarily wear the garments of fame. And it is not measured only by what your eyes can count. My harvest is first the rising of life in places that were once withered, peace growing in circumstances that have not yet changed, and your heart no longer being ruled by old bitterness. When I cause you to reap, I do not merely give you outward results. I also cause your soul to understand that I am faithful through every season. Let us not grow weary doing good, for in due season we will reap, if we do not give up. Galatians 6:9. That appointed time is not decided by your impatience, but by my eternal wisdom. Remember the story of Ruth, the young woman who walked forward after loss, leaving her old land behind and following her mother-in-law to a foreign place with only a loyal heart and hands willing to glean. She did not enter the field of Boaz with a crown upon her head, nor did she know that the stalks of grain falling at her feet were leading her into a story of redemption greater than she could imagine. She simply bent down to gather each small sheaf beneath the sun, living humbly, keeping her heart pure. And I arranged favor upon those steps. From a foreigner in the harvest field, Ruth was brought into the lineage of the Redeemer. Do you see? Sometimes the harvest begins with something very small, a very quiet act of faithfulness, a choice to love that no one praises. Do not despise the few stalks of grain I place in your hands today, for from them I can open an entire field of blessing tomorrow. Therefore, do not become impatient and pluck the fruit while it is still green. And do not despair when the young shoot has not yet risen from the soil. The seed has its own life under my authority. It needs darkness in order to break open, time in order to grow roots, and quiet rain before it can withstand the sunlight. So it is with you. There are seasons when I place you in hiddenness not to forget you, but so that your roots may grow deeper than what you can see. If I gave you the fruit too soon, you might cherish the fruit and forget the roots. If I open the door too quickly, you might walk in with a fragility that has not yet been refined. Therefore, trust my process. All things work together for good for those who love God. Romans 8:28. Including the days you thought were delays, including the seasons when all you could do was wait in tears and pray in the darkness. I also want you to understand that sowing and reaping are not only about receiving what you hoped for, they are also a holy cooperation between your faith and my power. You cannot force a seed to sprout through worry, nor can you pull the grain upward with hurried hands. Your work is to keep the soil of your heart soft before me. Do not allow doubt to harden that soil. Do not allow unhealed wounds to become thorns that choke the seed. Do not allow the words of the world to become stones in the place where I desire to sow blessing. When your heart is soft, my word will go deep. When your heart is clean, grace will soak in. When your heart knows how to wait, you will see life grow silently, yet surely. As in the parable of the sower, the seed that fell on good soil produced fruit, some 100-fold, some 60-fold, and some 30-fold. Matthew 13:8. What I need from you is not control, but a receptive heart. Then there will come a time when I tell you to rise and step into the field. For although the harvest is given by me, it still requires hands that know how to obey. There are promises you will not touch if you keep sitting in the room of fear. There are doors that will not open if you do not walk toward them in faith. There is fruit that will remain on the branch if you do not reach out with courage. I do not call you to rush forward in your own strength, but neither do I call you to stand still in delay. When the field has ripened, the laborer must step into the sunlight, into the dust, into the sweat, in order to gather what has been prepared. Lift up your eyes and look at the fields, for they are already white for harvest. John 4:35. My beloved, do not only pray for the harvest, be ready to become one who steps into that season with humility and obedient hands. Yet when I begin to show you the fruit, guard your heart from pride. Do not say, my strength has done this. Do not forget the days when you once lay in the dark soil like a seed no one could see. Do not forget that the rain was not made by you. The sun was not summoned by you, and the life inside the seed did not come from your will. I planted, Apollos watered, but God gave the growth. 1 Corinthians 3:6. You may faithfully sow, patiently water, stay up late in prayer, and rise early to serve. But I am the one who causes life to spring up from the ground. Therefore, when you reap, reap with gratitude. When you receive, receive in worship. When you have abundance, remember to open your hands to others. For the blessing given to you is not meant to be shut away in your own storehouse, but to become bread for many hungry souls. Your harvest will also heal the way you look back on the past. The things that once made you weep will no longer be merely wounds. They will become testimonies that I carried you through. The years that seem buried will no longer be called loss. They will be recognized as deep soil where I was working. The times when you thought you were being delayed will appear as protection. The closed doors will be understood as fences I built to keep you from a road that did not belong to the promise. When the ripe grain is in your hands, you will see that I did not overlook a single detail. I used both rain and sun, both night and day, both waiting and sudden joy to bring you to this moment. Then your mouth will no longer only ask, why, but will cry out, the Lord has done great things for us. We are filled with joy. Psalm 126:3. So then, my child, step into this season with a tender heart, clear eyes, and a grateful spirit. Do not fear the abundance I give, but do not allow it to make you forget the one who sowed life within you. Do not rush, but do not shrink back. Do not compare your field with another's field, for every soul has its own season in my holy timing. What I am doing in you has its own fragrance, its own rhythm of ripening, its own fruit. Receive the harvest not only as a reward, but as a testimony that I am still faithful, still listening, still remembering, still causing every seed of trusting love to live again at the appointed time. You have sown in tears, now prepare to reap with joy. You have walked through dry ground, now let me lead you into green fields. You have waited in the night, now open your heart to the dawn. For your harvest is not only what you receive, but the person you become in my hands, deeper in faith, wider in love, firmer in hope, and brighter like a field covered with my grace. My child, slow down in the golden season, now opening before your eyes. For not every blessing is given so that you may hurriedly gather it. Some blessings are given so that you may stand still and recognize me. The field you are entering is not only a place where old seeds have blossomed, nor merely proof that weary years have finally been answered. It is a holy meeting place between you and me, where every furrow has absorbed tears, every stalk has grown in silence, and every passing breeze seems to carry the whisper that I never left you. When you bend down and touch the fruit in your hands, do not see only the result of endurance, see the mark of my hand upon every seemingly small thing. For I have said, those who sow in tears shall reap with songs of joy. And today, as your hands touch the harvest, you are touching a promise that was preserved through the days when you thought you had been forgotten. But my beloved, I want you to understand this with your whole soul. The harvest is not only to fill your barns, but to fill your heart with my presence. Fruit can make you joyful. Achievements can cause the world to congratulate you. And heavy heads of grain can prove that you did not give up. But more precious than all of these is the realization that I am walking with you in the field. I was not only with you when the soil was barren, when the sky was dry, when your hands sowed and saw nothing grow. I am also with you on the day the grain ripens, when sunlight pours down like gold, when your heart begins to feel lighter after a long season of endurance. I am the Lord of the dark night, but also the Father of the clear morning. I am the one who hears your groaning in the storm, but also the one who rejoices with you in peaceful laughter. Therefore, do not let the harvest make you so busy that you forget to look up at my face. Do not let the blessing hide the blesser. Do not let full hands cause your heart to grow silent before me. There was a time when you came to me through sobs, carrying your petitions like a traveler carrying an empty water jar in the desert. You asked me to open a way, to heal you, to keep you from collapsing, and to cause what seemed dead to live again. I heard you, not because your words were polished, but because your heart was true. Then, through every season, I taught you to believe when you could not yet see, to stand firm when you did not yet understand, to wait when there was no sign, and to keep walking when the road was still covered in mist. Now, as the field before you has changed color, I want to teach you another lesson: how to receive without fear, how to rest without guilt, how to rejoice without forgetting humility. For I did not create you to live your whole life in a posture of struggle, nor do I want you to think that only when you are exhausted are you being faithful. There is faithfulness in tears, but there is also faithfulness in joy. There is holiness in long nights of prayer, but there is also holiness in a morning when you know how to breathe deeply and say, Father, I thank you. From the place where you asked for the things you thought you needed most, I am leading you into a place where you desire me above all things. Perhaps before, you sought me because you needed an answer. Now, you are beginning to love my presence more than the answer itself. Before, you hoped that I would change your circumstances. Now, you understand that as long as I am there, no circumstance has the power to define you. And my child, how greatly this delights my heart, for I am not seeking hands that only know how to work while forgetting to love, nor lips that only know how to offer sacrifices while the heart remains far away. I am seeking a heart that knows how to abide with me, My word has reminded you through the prophet, I desire mercy, not sacrifice, and the knowledge of God rather than burnt offerings. Therefore, when you love me in silence, when you choose to remain with me even when there is nothing urgent left to ask, when you rejoice simply because I am who I am, that is a fragrance sweeter than every sheaf you could place upon the altar. Look around, my beloved. The scent of new grain is rising like a song that needs no music. The ground beneath your feet, once cracked by drought, now lifts up bending heads of grain as though they know how to worship. The sunlight spread across the field is not only there to beautify the harvest, but to remind you that my grace often carries the gentleness of ordinary things. I do not come only in thunder upon the mountain, nor reveal myself only through miracles that astonish the world. I can be present in the cool cup of water you drink after labor, in the light breeze through your hair, in a bird's song at dawn, in the moment you stop your work and realize that your heart is no longer as tense as it once was. Remember the story of Elijah on Mount Horeb. I did not reveal myself only in the great wind, the earthquake, or the fire, but in a still small voice. In the same way, in this field, I may not call you with a roaring echo, but with a quiet peace laid upon your heart like morning dew on the grass. Therefore, enjoy without fearing that you are selfish. Rejoice without fearing that your joy will be taken away. And receive blessing without immediately preparing yourself for the next disaster. Some of my children have grown so used to battle that when I lead them into green pastures, they still grip the sword tightly in their hands and do not know how to lie down. But I am the shepherd of your soul. And I have said, He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. If I have led you to a place of rest, do not treat rest as something foreign. If I have prepared a table for you, do not stand outside the door as though you are unworthy. Sit down in gratitude, not because you have done enough to be loved, but because my love has always gone before your works. It was grace that lifted you when you were weak, kept you when you wavered, and brought you here when you once thought you could not go on. Yet the golden field is not only a place where you receive, it is also a place where I give you a new calling. Blessing is not given to be sealed inside a storehouse, just as seed was not created to remain forever in the palm of the hand. If you keep everything for yourself, what is living will slowly dry up, but when you know how to share, today's harvest will become tomorrow's sowing. You once wept on this land, so you will know how to comfort someone standing before barren ground. You once waited in silence, so you will know how to speak words of encouragement to someone who has not yet seen the first green shoot. You were once lifted up by me, so you can bend down to lift someone else without pride. Freely you have received, freely give. That word does not make you poor, but opens the way for the river of grace to keep flowing through you. Remember Ruth, the Moabite woman who entered the field of Boaz, not as an owner, but with the humility of one who gleaned. She had passed through loss, exile, poverty, and days when she did not know what the future would be. But in the field that seemed to be only a place to gather food for the day, I was quietly weaving a story of redemption. Boaz left sheaves for her, covered her with kindness, and from that small faithfulness, I opened a lineage through which the Redeemer would later enter the world. Do you see? A field in my hands is never merely a field. It can be the place where I provide for today, heal yesterday, and prepare it tomorrow far beyond what you understand. Therefore, as you stand in your harvest, be grateful for what you are receiving and remain awake to what I am calling you to give. My beloved, perhaps the field another person is walking through today is still mud, thorns, and tears. Perhaps they have not yet seen what you are seeing. have not touched the stalks you are touching, have not yet believed that harvest is real. So become a gentle testimony, not by boasting about blessing, but by the humility of one who knows they have received mercy. Tell of my faithfulness through a life of purity. Share your experience with gentle words. Place a seed of hope, however small, into the hand of the weary. Because in my kingdom, even the tiny mustard seed can grow into a tree where the birds of the air make their nests. And when you sow in this way, you will not lose your own harvest. On the contrary, you will understand my joy more deeply. For complete joy is not only in receiving blessing, but in becoming a channel through which blessing travels farther. So now, walk through that field with a tender heart. Gather what I give, but also listen to what I teach. Rejoice in the ripe grain, but do not forget the soil once watered by tears. Rest in the shade of grace, but also keep a few seeds in your hand for the seasons to come. I am with you in every breath of this season, in the rustling of the grain, in the light of the late afternoon, in the smile of gratitude, in the open hand that gives. And when you understand that the greatest thing about the harvest is not how much you have gained, but how deeply you meet me amid all that you have, your soul will truly be rich. Rejoice, my child, for I have kept my promise. Be humble, for every good fruit comes from me. Be generous, for the fields of grace are wide. And always remember, the place where you once wept can become the place where you sing. The place where you once sowed can become the place where others are nourished. And the place where I meet you today will still give birth to many seasons of blessing for souls on their way back to the light. My beloved child, lay down for a moment every noise that is pulling your mind away from the holy place within your heart. Do not rush to ask what is happening, and do not try to measure the movements of heaven with earthly eyes. There are works I do that do not begin with thunder, do not appear before crowds, and do not need a dazzling sign to prove that I am present. Often, my greatest works begin with a very gentle stirring in the soul, like wind passing over a field at dawn, so subtle that the grass has not yet bent, yet the earth already knows a new season is coming. Be still and listen, for I am breathing, not the kind of wind that comes and goes according to the weather of the earth, but the breath of the Holy Spirit, the current of life from eternity, the quiet movement that no power of darkness can stop. This wind does not come to terrify you, but to awaken you from the long sleep of weariness. It does not come to shatter your life, but to carry away the dust that has settled upon the altar of your heart, to cleanse the rooms of your soul that have long remained closed to the light. Many times you have thought that everything around you was standing still, that the prayers you had sown were buried in silent ground, that the holy dreams you once carried had become cold ashes. But I tell you, in my world, ashes can still become the place where a new flame rises. Dry ground can still hear the sound of rain, and what you thought had no breath left can be breathed upon by me and live again. From the very beginning, when the form of man was still dust in my hands, I breathed the breath of life into Adam, and man became a living soul who could love, listen, and turn his face toward the one who created him. From that moment on, my breath has not only been a sign of life, but proof that humanity was not created to live empty. You belong to that breath. You were created to carry within you the movement of heaven. Therefore, when I breathe within you again today, I am not merely comforting you. I am calling you back to your original identity. You are a creation born from holy intention, lifted up by grace, and renewed by the Spirit. There are times when you look at the world and see weary cities, fractured families, cold churches, and young generations losing their way amid countless false voices. You see human hearts like houses with closed doors, having lights but lacking fire, having words but lacking life, having activity but lacking holy breath. Do not lose heart, my child, for I do not abandon the dry places. I am not present only in temples filled with songs. I also enter the silent valleys where dry bones lie scattered. As I spoke to Ezekiel in the valley of death, come from the four winds, O breath, and breathe upon these slain, that they may live. And when that word was proclaimed, what seemed impossible began to move. Bone found bone again. Sinews and flesh covered them. Breath entered them, and a great army stood up. Do you see? When I breathe, what was scattered is joined together. What was cold and hard becomes soft, and what had fallen rises again. No valley is too dead for me. No soul is too far for my breath to touch. Therefore, do not despise the small stirrings appearing within your heart. Perhaps it is a desire to pray again after many days of silence. Perhaps it is an unexpected tear when you hear a familiar verse of Scripture. Perhaps it is the prompting to forgive, to return, to live more purely, to serve me with your whole heart and not merely by habit. These things are not coincidences. They are the footprints of my wind passing through your soul. When Jesus said to Nicodemus, "The wind blows where it wishes, you hear its sound, but you do not know where it comes from or where it goes," he was opening your eyes to a mystery. The work of the Holy Spirit is not always in your hands to control, but you can recognize it by the life he leaves behind. My wind does not ask permission from your fear before it blows. My wind does not wait for favorable circumstances before it begins. It enters the place where the door has been shut, into the room of the disciples who once trembled after their teacher had died. And then, on the day of Pentecost, the sound from heaven came like a mighty rushing wind, filling the whole house and turning those who had been weak into courageous witnesses. Remember that story, for it is not only ancient history, it is a promise that I can turn your room of fear into the beginning place of mission. Just as the disciples once sat together in waiting, you may be in a season where you have not yet seen the door open. You pray but have not yet seen a clear answer. You walk but have not yet seen the road fully brighten. You hold on to faith, yet there are still nights when your heart trembles. I do not blame you for that trembling. I only want you not to leave the place of waiting for me. There are winds that come only to those who know how to remain in obedience. There are restorations that bloom only in the heart of one who does not give up in the silence. When my breath comes, you will no longer need to create fire by your own strength. Your words will carry more life. Your hands will know how to lift others more gently. Your eyes will look upon others with greater mercy, and your steps will stop wandering down the old paths that once exhausted you. I will breathe through your memories to heal what still hurts. I will breathe through your calling to awaken what once slept. I will breathe through the dry gardens of your soul so that forgotten seeds begin to break open. My beloved, my wind is also an invitation to return. Not to return in shame like one dragged before a courtroom, but to return like a child welcomed home by a father who has opened the door. The world has taught you to chase many strange winds. The wind of ambition, the wind of comparison, the wind of fear, the wind of fleeting praise. But my wind is different, for it does not push you farther away from yourself. It brings you back to the true source of life. It does not make you proud. It makes you humble. It does not throw you into confusion. It brings holy order. It does not blow in order to break the bruised reed. It lifts that reed to stand again beneath the sun. Let me sweep away from you the dust of disappointment and the false beliefs that you are too late, too broken, or no longer usable. I am the one who says, "Behold, I make all things new." If I still speak this word over creation, then I am speaking it over you as well. From today onward, when you feel your heart stirred toward what is holy, do not delay any longer. When you hear my voice calling you out of numbness, rise up, even if it is only with one small step. When you recognize that a beautiful dream has been buried beneath the soil of failure, entrust it back to me. For in my hands, a seed that seemed dead can bring forth a new harvest. I am breathing through you, through your home, through the places that seem to have grown cold, through generations that seem to have strayed far from the altar. And you will see not through the noise of human effort, but through the gentle power of the Holy Spirit that souls will awaken. Hearts will soften, prayers will rise like incense, and dry fields will echo with the sound of life returning. Open your heart, my child. Do not resist the holy wind. Let it lift you, cleanse you, teach you, and send you forth. For I have not finished your story, and the season of resurrection I have prepared for you is beginning with the very breath you are sensing in this deepest place.